Hey guys, it's DJ Santiago, aka the Real Estate Jock, with today's Real Estate Jock tip for you. Talking about moving, cost of movers, and ways to save yourself a lot of pain and heartache. Now, unfortunately for me, or fortunately for me, I've been through this a couple times, and I've also worked with some clients that have had this problem. So, you've got a job somewhere across the country, or you've got to move for whatever reason that you can think of under the sun. And now you've got to do something that's very daunting, which is hiring and finding a trustworthy moving company to help you with this move. Obviously, you always have the option to go out, get yourself a truck, and load up your stuff yourself. Who really wants to do that for the most part? Most people don't want to do it if they can have the money to afford for some options or have a budget to work with. Okay, so I'm assuming while making this video that you've got budgetary money set aside for this. And I want to talk to you about the process and the things that I've learned over the years in working with these moving companies. So the first thing you're probably going to do is you're probably going to jump online and you're going to see a bunch of moving companies, probably all national brands. You're going to call some folks up and you're going to get probably somebody to give you a quote over the phone, which is referred to in the moving business as just an estimate, okay? The over-the-phone, unseen estimate, meaning you're walking through the house, you're saying, I got two TVs, I got this, I got that, I'm gonna need somebody to box this, I'm gonna need somebody to box that, whatever you're basically being interrogated about, they're gonna go ahead and type up a nice little list, they're gonna send you a fancy little PDF, and you're gonna have a price in your inbox probably within 4 to 5 hours, if not sooner, and think you've got a great price. Like, wow, this was really, really easy. What you don't understand about that quote is really based on a company's strategy to get in at price level. They want to get you on price. But in the fine print of that particular quote, you will notice that they will say that the quote is only based on the accuracy of the person who gave the information. So they're turning it around on you. So you sign it, you give it to them, you say, hey, this is going to be $17.50 to move my family across the state or across the region. And then you get to the location of the move and get told, well, we actually thought that your total packages were going to be 4,500 pounds. It's actually 5,200 pounds. That's an additional X per pound and cubic foot. You now owe us another $1,500 to get your stuff off the truck. They will not take it off the truck until you pay them that money. Very bad emotional scene you're setting yourself up for. The second type of quote that you're going to ask about or get from a company is what's called a binding agreement, or excuse me, a binding quote. This binding quote is basically something where it locks in a price. So let's say that same company comes out, they look at your products, they look at your items, and they give you a quote that's binding, that's $2,500. Well, that quote when they give you those services, it will not exceed that amount. You will be paying no more than $2,500. You can sleep safe at night knowing nobody's going to ask you for additional money, nobody's going to upsell you, like they did in the first example or the first quote. You got to be careful with that first quote. I see a lot of people running into problems with that first quote. The last and best quote for you to possibly get is something called a binding not to exceed agreement. Quote. That means that not only do you get the benefit of locking in a price, but you also get the benefit if your estimated cost of moving you, weight or cubic feet estimate, is actually under, they'll actually give you some credit back on your final invoice. So using that same example, if they quoted you at $2,500 for 4,800 pounds, and you actually have 4,200 pounds or 4,000 pounds, you're actually probably going to pay less, maybe even substantially less than that quote of $2,500. So it's the best strategy or best quote. When I interview moving companies or when I work with clients that are thinking about moving, we talk about this strategy. And you've got to take control of the phone call right out of the gate. and simply say, Mr. Moving Company, listen, here's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a binding, not to exceed estimate from you. Just understand, I don't care who you send out here. I'm not interested in all the bells and whistles. I want to get a bottom line price and know that if I come in under, because a lot of people, as you start to prepare to move, you're going to start throwing out couches. You're going to start throwing out TVs. You're going to start throwing out things that maybe you don't want to take with you because your new home doesn't have the room, or it's just not a strategy you want to have. It's not a strategy you want to use. You want to buy new stuff. I don't know. And now you're still getting charged for that full price. So at the very minimum, get a binding quote that locks in a price for your family so that you know, hey, look, you can get off the phone, tell your wife, tell your husband, it's going to cost this much. It's not going to cost us anymore. Okay. The first quote, I mean, there's just a lot of money that these companies are out there making by coming and locking you up as a customer on price, getting a deposit, and saying, yeah, it's only $1,500. And then in the fine print, you find that you're on the hook because they're saying, hey, man, you said it was 40 items. It ended up being 48. You said it was a queen-size bed. It's actually a king-size bed. And we thought it was going to be this much weight based on a factor that we have in the office. It's really this weight. Now you got to pay us some more money. Who in the world wants to deal with that? A couple other options you can use. You can actually hire moving companies to simply load a truck that you're going to drive to your next destination, and they'll also unload it. These are professional movers. They'll come in. You're basically just paying for the labor of these particular gentlemen or women to come in and help you with the move. But it's your job to actually transport the stuff to the other side. You can also hire somebody to unload your stuff. You can also use pods. Have somebody come in, load your pod. The pod company may be able to transport it to your new location, and again, hire some labor or do it yourself once it gets there. The bottom line here is you want to do some investigation. I strongly suggest, at a bare minimum, you give yourself 30 to 35 days before you have to actually move to hire a company. If you're calling a week before you have to move, or even 2 weeks before you have to move, all the power, all the strength, all the leverage is on the moving company side. You have a lot of people who want your business. You have a lot of people who are interested in working with your family and need to fill their trucks with moves. Act like it, behave like it, and you'll get the best price possible. I hope this information helps. If you're struggling with anything involved in real estate or moving, and I can help, please give me a call directly, 407-797-8116, or you can go to my website, realestatejock.com, and schedule a free 15-minute consult and see if I can help you with anything further that you might be dealing with in real estate. Remember, it's not that big of a deal. It's just real estate. Real Estate Jock signing off.